Meb, thanks again for being here. Much appreciated. It's Peter kind of detailed it. It's been a bit of a crazy week, and I guess we can't start without talking about the marathon. What was your feeling and your emotions as everything was going on, and you came to town ready to run the race?
Well, first and foremost, my heart and prayers are with the people that have been affected with it. Mother Nature doesn't know when it's coming, and that's part of the deal. And when I first came, I wanted, personally for me, it was like, okay, 4 marathons in 12 months. How can I do? My goal was to do 4 PRs, even though some people say, you know what, 4 marathons in your lifetime as a career is a huge accomplishment. But for me, it was like, okay, November last year, ran a personal best, stopping twice, and trials, and unfortunately had a foot infection between that, so I only had 48 days of getting ready for the trials, and ran a personal best, won the trials, and went to the Olympics after not going to the Beijing, and then get ready for London. And I'm like, okay, I think I could do another personal best there, and it was a little bit better than the trials preparation, but I didn't run a personal best, but I did finish 4th place after falling back to 18th or 19th place. But it's all about the challenges that you're going to face and how do you overcome those. And that's why we're going to New York and vicinity now. It's like, do we want this? Of course not. But how do we deal with it, and who do we rely on the support, whether it's with this cause, with the relief here, doing the fundraising, or doing charity, or many other things, or just calling a friend, hey, can I show you a place? And because there's some people that don't have electricity. That's when relying on what true friendships and other things are going. And life is always a challenge. You never know what the curveball is going to come, but you got to be able to stand it and be able to say, take a deep breath. How do we evaluate? How do we move forward? And for me, coming to New York this year, I was looking for my best performance in New York. But I completely understand why it got canceled, and I'm 100% behind it. But for me, it's just a race. But people ask me, what's next? I'm like, well, it's not that easy, because when you put your heart and soul for this race and looking forward to Monday, day off, after, like I said earlier, 4 marathons in 1 year, you're not trying to prolong that into 13 months or 14 months or 15 months. I'm looking forward to that time, and the decision now is just to see how many half marathons I could do, and then a spring marathon, and then come back next year and hopefully run a personal best in New York.
So, I was going to kind of wait to the end, but you teased us a little bit. We might be able to expect to see you next year in New York. Is that what your thinking is right now?
My goal is to be here next year, yeah. I was fortunate enough with the New Yorker Runners to sign a 2-year contract, and it could potentially be my last marathon. So there's a little curveball there also, but I think as long as I'm running personal best and doing well, I'm going to keep going, maybe even till Rio. But as of right now, I want to see what next year unfolds, and then after that, qualifying for the trial starts in 2014. And if I could get that, and try, anything can happen in the marathon. Sometimes it's right, sometimes it's not, because you can predict or understand if you do the right work, you will perform to average or better. It doesn't just happen. But if things are going well and I'm healthy and strong, and I like to challenge for that 3rd place to go to Rio potentially.
So, we're kind of looking a little bit ahead, but I think what we saw in that video is New York is significant to you because it's really where it all started. After you ran your first marathon in 2002, you talked, about hitting the wall and never wanting to do a marathon again. We spoke a couple weeks ago, and you shared an interesting story that I'd like to have you share with the group. After you finished New York and you weren't sure if marathon was what you wanted to do, if you went back to Eritrea, and you kind of talked about how that contributed to your whole attitude about the marathon. Can you share that?
Yeah, 10 years ago, and one of the reasons this year was going to be special for me is our 10-year anniversary. But 10 years ago, I started my marathon here, and 60 miles, 70 miles into it, like, oh, it's not that bad. I think I can win this. I got this. And then I got it down to 4 people. My whole philosophy about racing is, you have 30, 40, or 43,000 people, and you want to get there, the first one to be there. So you get it down to the least amount of people as possible. So from 35, get it down to 15, get it down to 7, and get it down to 4. And now he's like, the worst scenario is like, I got this, I got 4th place. But the best scenario is I still feel good, I'm going to win this thing. And that was about 16, 17, I was in the lead, and by mile 21, I figured out there was a wall that everybody talks about. And I just hit it. And everything after that was just going back. And I was in 208 pace, the guy won in 208.04, I believe, Roger Robb, and I progressively got slower and slower. I finished 2:12.35 or 32, which it's good for debut, but at the same time, we were hoping for that 4th place finish or better. And I said, like I said in the video of Coach Larson, I said, first and last. And he goes like this, I heard that one before. And David Monte, who was still the elite coordinator, and he asked, how was the experience? And I'm like, if you really want to know, let's talk tomorrow or the next day, because right now I just didn't have anything positive to say. I respected that, and then like Varun said, I ended up going to Eritrea 2 weeks later, and I was there for 7 weeks. The first time in I think 17 years or so, visiting my cousins and relatives, and I realized how fortunate I was. I realized it was a temporary discomfort, it was devastating, but not for a long time. And you see how hard people have to work day in, day out to just put food on the table, and they work, all day long until sunrise, from sunrise to sunset. And you understand that, it's not a bad gig that I do. And you know what? I came back and I said, Coach, I want to Boston. Whoa, what have I gotten into you, And he's like, no, you need to, you kind of have to hold me back. And then I didn't have to qualify for the Olympics yet. And so I ended up going to Chicago that fall and ran. I wanted to break 2:12 for the A standard, and went and cruised in 2:10.03. In fact, the only marathon I ever pulled down on, because usually I can even walk after a marathon, but it put in perspective. But and now to be able to say 10 years later, have a silver medal, 4th at the Olympic, and win in New York, and get 2nd place, 3rd place, I'm glad I didn't stop. So it's been a great journey and a lot of fun.
I think it's interesting to see 10 years later, to kind of see you talk about your first experience. It seems inconceivable that you would have reached that point where you thought you wouldn't be able to do it, but obviously that shows, what an accomplishment running a marathon is. I think for everybody who has done one, you guys in some way can relate to what Meb's feeling. You probably don't feel like, oh, I love this, when you're done doing it. And I guess, it's no different what level you're running it at. Meb, for those of us that are here in New York, I think it's hard walking around the city without seeing your face these days on billboards. You have a special relationship with New York City from the time that you ran your first marathon here to winning the New York City Marathon. What is it like for you every time you're back in the city? People recognize you in Central Park running. What's it like?
To be in New York is a special place. I mean, people just love to come visit New York. It's the capital of the world. And for me, to come here and to have those road closure and be able to compete and maximize my God-given talent is huge. And I almost tweeted today. I said, as soon as I love the air or love the vibe that you get when you just land get out of the airport. For me, there's something about it. And it's not every city is like that, but for me, New York is. And to have, the posters or I didn't see the bus, but a lot of people send me email or text about the subways and then the taxi and all that stuff, the promotion for this race. And New York is special, and I just feel like honored to be able to be in that category, because this hard work does pay off and consistency does pay off, and New York runners and Angie has been committed to me, and I've been committed to them to be able to every time you step to the line, you want to give it 110%. That's all it is. And I've been very consistent in terms of my marathon. I think that's one of the reasons. But a year ago, besides Generation UCAN and all, I didn't have much of a little over a year ago, didn't have a sponsorship. I didn't have a shoe sponsor. Even after getting silver medal, finishing winning New York and all that stuff. But like I say, you do face challenges, and at one point I was wondering, should I not go? But I'm glad I didn't stop, because you do have to question yourself at times. Is this the right thing, and why is it happening, and things like that. But what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and you have to rely on those. And I was in Mammoth Lakes where I trained, and it's like 3-degree cold, windy, by myself. Like, what am I doing here? Give me San Diego, nice weather. But you have to understand the commitment they have, and they have to understand the commitment your sponsors have put in to you. And that's why you're here. You have to sacrifice. If you don't have to sacrifice, everybody else wouldn't be doing it, or you didn't have to go to altitude to get the benefit of the elevation and red blood cell and things like that. But altitude is a big thing, and I love exercise. It's what God given me. Most of you might have read my book, Run to Overcome. I started because I wanted to get a good grade. That's why running started for me, and I always have to go back to that. First time I ever ran was a P class. So if you run hard, you're gonna get A or B. If you mess around, you're gonna get a DRF. Well, I want to get an A. I want to get a shirt that says Roosevelt Junior High Mile Club, and that was my driving force. And I got both those. I ran for 5:20. If you get 6:15, you get those. You get a picture in the window and on the gym and stuff. But for me, I had to go back to that, and to be able to have my pictures back in New York, and an advertisement is beyond a dream.
Yeah, I think you probably want a lot more than just a T-shirt for some racing. That's a good start, though. I think part of what you were saying, as you guys saw, Meb has really been with us from the beginning, and I think something that kind of aligns so well with the UCAN messaging, which is kind of that motivational messaging, telling yourself you can do it, is that's really what Meb's story is all about. And you talked a little bit about, you referenced winning the silver medal, at the Olympics in 2004. Then you weren't able to participate in 2008, which I'm sure was very challenging mentally because of an injury. Coming back in 2012, how much did it mean? And maybe we can start with the trials. Going into the trials, how important of a moment in your career was making the Olympic team again? Would something have been missing for you in your career without that?
Yes, it would have been something without that in my career. But to go back, some of you guys might know the trials were here in New York in 2007. 2002, I was 9th place in the silver medal, and then came back within 70 days against 2nd place in New York. And then 2005, I had a rupture my right quad, 8 weeks of training, came back, finished 3rd, and I thought if I could stay healthy, I could win this race. 2006, I lost my luggage, I had food poisoning, finished 20th. And 2007, I went to London Marathon, and I did have this, it's more like a wound, it's not even a blister, it's a wound that I get on my bottom of my feet. Everybody has something, weakness, that's for me, that's it. At the Gate River around 15K, Brian Hall was going for a course record. We went for 28 first mile or so, and I said, well, I got to keep up with you. I kept going with him, and forced me to be on my foot. And the next day, it was like a golf ball. I couldn't walk. Somebody had to put me on the crutches to go to that hospital. So the people took the whole skin off of my bottom of my feet. So as it develops, by the time London, it wasn't completely healed. So I was favoring it over composition. So Achilles is something that you don't mess around with. This could be a career-ending tear, because the trials were coming in 2008, 2007 November, I said, you know what? Stop London and get ready for it. And unfortunately, trial, I was the fittest I ever been. And getting 2nd place here, 3rd place in New York, I'm like, I want my first win ever in the marathon. And your heart wants it, and came here, and I was sitting next to Ryan Shea, going through the starting line, and we talked about that. And next thing you know is, we talk about how cool it is to have New York under our control, the police escorting us, getting us this and this and that. I had the same experience in Belgium, Brussels. Oh yeah, that was cool. When we got in the track meet, everybody was just kind of like maneuvering and no stopping. And then he said the same thing about Kenya, Mombasa, cross country. And then we went back to our focusing zone and we listened to music and things like that. The race goes out. I'm like, bear in mind, I'm fittest I ever know. I'm ready to win this. And about 10 miles into it, where Ryan Shea eventually passed away with fell, there was an ambulance. I'm like, what's going on here? I have no idea what happened. And I'm like, why can't they clean the road or something? I'll tell Ryan, like, let's just take it, get it down to 3 people and make the team. And he's looked at me, he's like, isn't it too early? 10 miles into it, this early, right? And I'm like, well, this is what the next mile is. We ran 4:47. I was like, okay, planning fast enough. And about 12 miles into the race, it's like, my calves start tightening up. I'm like, well, I'm going to use Ryan to get me away from the rest of the group. Like earlier I said, you have to get people as few as you can, so that you can, whether you make the team or you want to be the podium, things like that. And eventually Ryan just had this miraculous day, and he goes away. And for me, I start overcompensating, and from 2nd place to 3rd place. And now I have a team, and then 4th place, maybe I could be an alternate. And then 5th place, maybe Ryan Hall and they can go do the 10K and I'll get to go. And then maybe 6th place. I just don't know when to stop. I get 7th place, and there was one guy with about half a mile to go. He was huffing and puffing. You could hear him just from distance. And he's counting. I'm like, God, please help me beat this. No, I didn't beat him. He beat me, and I finished 8th in 2:15. And what turned out to be right after I finished, somebody else said, "Do you know what happened to Ryan?" I'm like, it was a little bit rainy. I thought it was Ryan Hall or something. He fell or something. I was like, "No, did he fall or something?" He's like, "No, Ryan Shea." And I'm like, "No, what happened?" He's like, "Dead." I'm like, I just went to the ground. I mean, I'm sitting next to somebody. I didn't even realize it was in my mind somewhere else that he was sitting next to me on the bus. Now, dude, I can't complain not making the team. And I so mentally, physically, and emotionally, I was just wiped out. And my friend Johnny B has to carry me on his shoulder, because once I stopped, I couldn't put any weight on my head. And 10 weeks later, we realized it was a pelvic stress fracture. How did it happen? I didn't fall, I didn't bleed, so I just kept going, overcompensation. Eventually, my calcium was pretty low, I think, and basically that's what happened. And I saw 50 doctors, you know, whether it's a chiropractor or MD and all that stuff, and trying to figure it out. They thought they had a abdominal tear, so they were ready to do surgery, because part of contract stuff that goes with Shu and others is how do you get back to make the team? Because if you don't make the team, there's some serious consequences. There's financially. So I was trying to make a quick turnaround, and eventually Dr. Louis Maher from New York said he wasn't. I flew for that day to Phoenix to see him, and he just said, "Well, why don't you come to New York? We'll have the best radiologist. We'll see it, but I think you have to appear from a syndrome. We need to get there and cortisone shot and release it." We went to the MRI, did the 3D and all that stuff, and he goes, "Good news, you don't need a cortisone shot. Bad news, 10 weeks ago you had a pelvic stress fracture. It's finally filling up." I'm like, well, what I ended up is so weird damage that he says, you know, you cannot do any more damage to it, is what he said. So, okay, I'll get ready. I tried to get ready, but, you know, I went a month later and it was only 20% better versus 40% of what he was hoping for. And I just said, got everything out. I was invited to go to London. I decided not to do it. And eventually, basically, my dream was gone, and they didn't make the 10K. And it's like, well, my goal and dream would be to win the New York City Marathon. I'm not going to Beijing, the 10K, or the marathon, but what can I do? You have set goals and you have to go execute them. And for me, 2008, I was invited to come to New York, but I know I wasn't fit enough to be able to be a contender. Even though I think I could finish 4th or so, but I'm like, you know, I just don't want to use that 26.2 miles if I didn't have a shot at it. So basically, in 2009 is when the magic happened. I just really focused and dedicated and all that stuff. But in between, to get to that level, there wasn't a guarantee I was going to win New York, but there was just, you know, hard work for a year and a half of rehab. And you do everything right without no guarantee. You just do what your heart or your tank, there's more than a tank to do what you do, what you believe. Or like, for me, I know the trials were not the way I wanted to go out. It wasn't, you know, I believe I could still have a Olympic team on me. And so to overcome that and to go to New York and to have, you know, fit in Boston and come back. And I really wanted to make the team in 2012. And so there was only 69 days New York and Houston, where the trials were. People say, why is he doing that? But I believe I could do it. I believe that I've done it in the past, and why can't I do it again? Even though, like, well, but you're older. Like, well, I'm wiser. And people have doubts, but you got to believe in what you do and keep pushing forward. And if you know you're going to be able to do it, then if you know 110% dedication, commitment that goes into it, nobody can stop you. And for me, going through the trials, it wasn't ideal. I had foot infection and everything else. It was just not a good side, but I just said, I just want to make the team so my daughters and my wife and my brothers and sisters can go. Because in 2008 and 2004, I was by myself in Athens and winning silver. But so that was my motivation. I went to the church before I left Mammoth. I'm like, any place is fine except fourth place. I don't think there'll be other alternates. So I prayed for that, and eventually, I got fourth place at the Olympics. And I said, at the Olympics, I'd be more than happy to accept that. But at the trials, I would not. It's a tough position to be, because whether you're going to go or not, and I want to make it more for my girls and my wife and family, just because, I want my girls to know that, they went to the Olympics and they saw it. What they remember, 6, hopefully 4, maybe, and 2, maybe 3. So that's where.
I think you referenced it a little bit, and I know when we get into talking about your age, that's your favorite subject. I know you love that. But I think it's really been remarkable what you've done the last 3 years. Just again, marathon PR in New York City, 2011, then marathon followed up with a marathon PR at the trials in Houston, as you referenced, 69 days later. And I think the question that I always hear people ask is, basically how are you doing it, and really how has your training evolved as you move to this next phase in your career, and you're still really pumping out these impressive times. So what are some things in your training that you've had to change and tweak from the way you were training, maybe 8 to 10 years ago?
One of the most big changes that I've done is nutrition, by far. When I was 25 or 23, I lived in the dorms. When I was in college, like, how much food can I put in my system? Was the question, like, breakfast, I will have like 2 pancakes, 2 French toast, oatmeal, and eggs or whatever, and while I did the calorie studies, and the professor said, you like your run, you like you got these genetics, otherwise you'll be obese. That was the professor's comment. And 97, I made that change, and over the years, as I get older, my metabolism has to slow down. So somebody asked me earlier today, how often I use Generation UCAN? I said, that's one of the big changes that I have made, is at least 3 times, 4 times a week. Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Fridays, and Sundays. It's the first thing after my workout that goes into my system. And what does that mean? That means, 1, I'm not feeling hungry. 2, it's helping me recover faster. 3, it's coming back, doing consistency, back day in, day out. Running is obviously you have to be talented at a certain degree, but it's consistency. If you consistently can put the mileage in and work hard, that's why the marathon it's not unpredictable. I don't believe that. It's very predictable if you do the right things, and you should be able to hit average or above average if you've done the things right. And for me, all my sponsors have been very supportive to be able to say, go pursue your passion, and hopefully I'm a good spokesman for this company that I'm sponsored by, and that's, but nutrition has been pretty big, and I have a very sweet tooth. Chocolate is one I'm about cooling down, I'm thinking this is my chocolate Generation UCAN, that's all I'm taking out before stretching and whatnot. And my girls, for my birthday last year, we have to do fruits because I was in the middle of training. And what if they love to bake, and your dance kind of encourage them to do cookies or brownies and things like that. And Daddy cannot have those when he's in training. Daddy cannot have them. And after London, it's like I'm having this craving for sweets. I'm having eating brownies or candies and all. Dad, I thought you said that's bad for you. I said, not this time. Sometimes it's okay. But and for me, it's when you work so hard and things like that. And I'm not saying to say it, but I look forward to my shake and have my juice. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what do you do to fuel up before your runs if you use UCAN after?
I have used UCAN before on a few occasions, but I also use I will have half a bagel and peanut butter or almond butter and honey and tea usually, because at 8:30 is when I practice and I wake up, I have something, and then even at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock I come back from my workouts after, I love having breakfast stuff, so that's, but through that it gets me to, I drive 40 miles sometimes twice a week to get my tempos or intervals to from Bishop, from Mammoth Lakes, and I gotta rely on Endurance UCAN to give me that energy where I can come home and stretch and do my core workouts and then have the,
I think when a lot of people hear you say that your metabolism is slowing down, they kind of, I mean, initial reaction is they're surprised, but of course, because people look at you and they say, he's very lean, but you talked a little bit about, I know I guess you first really started playing around with UCAN in 2009 after New York, right? And you told an interesting story that, after New York you were doing a lot of appearances and weren't training really hard, but people were asking you how you were staying so lean. If you kind of want to just share that.
Yeah, I mean, I was in Indianapolis. Jen Ryan's one of my teammates, Mammoth Track. I was like, you look very lean. You've been running a lot. I'm like, back not really, because I've been traveling a lot, but I'm using this new product. It helps with fat metabolism, and that's what I was doing. And I mean, when I get my intense, whether I use it for 3 times a week or sometimes 4 times a week, it helps, to keep you in intensity and then also metabolizing, fat burning, and it has helped me a lot. And people don't know, I look lean, they say, but I have to work hard at it. Even though I run 100 and 130, sometimes I had 133 before New York this year. 130 to 130, that was really great roll. And but at the same time, I love eating. I love to eat, and and then I have to be careful because I can tell a difference between. For some of you guys probably say, well, 130, that's nothing. But for me, I have to be to 121, 122 when I'm in great shape. So 8 pounds makes a big difference. Just within a week, I gained my 8 pounds. That's, it's been a week now, so once another bit, I'm like, how much food can I take in and whatnot? But I had my Endurance UCAN yesterday, I had it today, and because it's a fine balance. I know I'm going to be racing probably hopefully soon, and I got to get that fine line. And eating is one of my hobbies, because I didn't get to enjoy that when I'm in training. I'm really like this. I cannot have that. But once I don't have to run, it's like, okay, what can I have? I can have 2 of those. So I get a little loose when I'm, but that's good though, because I gain the weight. It gives me a little more strength, and then when I come back, I think it helps.
So you're not training right now, or because of New York, you're not being trained right now? What will be your next race?
My next race hopefully will be Houston half, maybe. People say, why don't you do, I looked into doing Fukuoka Marathon, which is December, but for me it was New York or not. And unfortunately there was the hurricane, but I put all my eggs for that. I passed San Jose half. I almost passed the Olympic finish, because let me go back a little bit. For the Olympics was about 15 miles into it. I was struggling. I was having trouble, and I just said, no. I got New York coming. I already have a silver medal. Maybe I should just stop. But I said, think back. It's an option that I have, but do I want to take it or not? You kind of have to go back and forth. And I just said, every time, ever since we made the team to go to the Olympic, I said, we have to represent our country the best that we can. And kind of stripped back, like, well, stop and not best. Keep going forward. No matter how many people pass me or how many people I'm going to pass, I just want to get to the finish line. And second was my daughters and other close to 50 people were there. It's like, you know, if my girls get ever asked, however, they see me participate in Olympic Games, they will, hopefully they will say yes. And how did he do? DNF did not finish. So I said, keep going for it. And I had no idea that Ryan and Abby had dropped out. I did not know that until after I finished at the press conference. So, you know, we sent one of our best team to potentially have, which crossed my mind, 3 DNFs would not be a good representation of our country. So I was happy that I didn't. Definitely, some things do go trigger into your mind, but it's like, nope, mile by mile, just see if you can catch us. I was in third group, see if we can get second group. And then once you get a second group, it's like, how many people? There was 9 of us. If I could be one of them, I'd be happy, and 3 guys would come past me or whatever. A lot of stuff went to your mind. And then after that, it's like, if I could beat this group, it's a race within a race, I'd be very happy if I could do that, which I eventually did. But then you catch mile by mile, you're like, okay, I want to pass one more person, or 5K to go, I just saw Coach Larson there, and he says, well, he said, I have no idea what place I was in. He's like, and the Japanese guy was next to me, I'm like, is he in 6th place? 10th place? And like, so your mind goes, and then I saw a guy, like 2 miles ago, which I just watched a video, and it said 40 seconds ahead of me, and I said, if that guy's in 4th place, and I could be this guy and get to move to 5th place, and eventually, you know, there's a lot of stuff going on with, I'm not accusing anybody, but with drugs and stuff. I said, one of those guys get busted, that guy's going to push to 4th place. I'm not taking that, so I need to get him, and then I got him a 500 meter to go. And so there's a lot of things that was in your mind throughout the race.
I just think it's so amazing that watching you run on TV, and you just look so comfortable, but then you have all this stuff going on in your head, and everybody else that's running is doing the same thing, but you guys are you look so focused. It's amazing to hear all of this that's going on in your mind.
One, look and be conceiving, you know, one night. But our job is, whether it's to the spectators or to competitors, is to make it as efficient, as painless as possible. Because, you know, when I'm competing, I'm analyzing what Varun's doing. Is his head tilting down, or his form going down, or how's his stride? So as a competitor, you're doing all those things, so you know, sometimes you want to breathe, and you don't want to breathe because he's gonna engage that. He's tired, or you're gonna get that feedback. And for, you know, for the spectators, it's just all those 130 miles that I talk about. Maybe 22 of those are efficient and to the thing, but the other stuff is, you know, you asked me earlier if I'm training or not training right now, but when I say, oh, I'll go for an easy recovery run, that's 10 miles. You know, when I said, how fast is that? That's anywhere from 6:30 to 6:45. So people say, oh, have you done a marathon, or have you recovered from from London? I've done 3 times 26.2 or longer in my training to get ready for this race. But that race was supposed to be a perfect picture. It's like an art. It's like you do the rehearsal, you do the painting, you do it, and then you present it, here it is. And that's what we hope to do when it comes to racing. And yes, I'm training a little bit right now. I took Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday off. And then I ran yesterday a little bit, and I just came back from San Antonio today and ran Central Park at 7 miles. But now next week is tomorrow's Monday, start fresh, and then be able to say maybe 50, 60 miles for that week, and then eventually get up to the hundreds. But you know, small progress no matter what. But our job is to make it as efficient as possible.
Sure. Go ahead. So Meb, you see a lot of products. I'm sure a lot of companies that are having you looking at their products, and it's great that you've gotten some benefit out of the UCAN product. But is there something missing in the field? Do you ever think about, you know, gee, I wish there was a product that did this, and I still don't see that product in the market? That something out there that's just not connecting yet with what you need as an elite athlete.
Sometimes you think of those, but then it's only ideas. But you know, you go for a run, you're like, well, this would be something, and you come back from a run, you completely forgot about it. and somebody else invents it or
Write it down.
Yeah, that's why I think Dave McGillivray has a walkie-talkie. You know, it was like, you know, even you think of ideas. Oh, I'm gonna call that person. You come back and you can do it. It's just, you know. But as in terms of product, I think, you know, I personally try to keep it as simple as possible.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of new gadgets and new stuff going on. For me, is believe in the product that I use and work hard and smart and consistency, and with my God-given talent, try to produce as good results as I can. But you know, I've been fortunate enough to work with many companies, and I use it. And like Varun said, I said when Generation UCAN came, I said, let me try it. Let me try it. You know, I don't want just to endorse it, but I tried it. We talked about being lean and all that stuff was working, and I'm like, I'm sold. But any product that I endorse personally, I try it before I endorse it. And the appropriate name for that, and it was like, I just want your UCAN. I mean, the new generation UCAN. So that was kind of like, how appropriate. You know, the time it was just, with the title, I was really mesmerized and like, wow, this is awesome. Just because you have to believe you can, and it's been 27 years since I'm working on one, and it was just perfect thing to go beyond of what you're capable of doing.
Meb, we'll do one more, and then you guys, after we're done with this here, you know, Meb will be signing autographs and taking some pictures. So any other questions, we'll get one more from the back over here actually, and then we'll kind of wrap this up. But like I said, we'll still be hanging out here for a little bit, and everyone will get a chance to meet him further and take some pictures. Go ahead.
Hi. When you're recovering from an injury, specifically your stress fracture, because I'm recovering from a stress fracture, when do you know, for you personally, I mean obviously I'm not in your class, but when do you know it's okay to start running again and start racing again?
For me, injury's been a big problem of my career. You know, just like you say, stress fracture. I had my metatarsal, I have a stress fracture. I have a longitudinal tear on my left quad, 2 centimeters by 11 centimeter tear on my right quad, Achilles tendonitis. But you know, if you believe in something and you believe that you will come back, you will. But it's not fun to be able to say, you know, some people are suggested to say, for my pelvic stress fracture, it's like, well, at your age, you should be able to go 8 to 10 weeks, but for somebody it might be 12 weeks. So you have to know when the diagnosis was happened, and then be able to play that, especially with stress fracture. And then after that, it's just like, if it's, you know, non-impact, then you can do the bike, cardiovascular, or just doing I used to do UCLA, this machine that you just get to work at cardiovascular. And swimming. So you have to do something, a routine that you usually do when you were running, whether it's, I was on the pool for 5 weeks after my metatarsal and Achilles tendonitis. If I was going to do 200 meter repeats, it was 30 seconds. If I was going to do 400 meter, it was 1 minute. If I was going to do 800, it was 2 minutes. If I was going to do mile repeat, it was 5 minutes. If I was going to do a tempo, it was 20 minutes. If I was going to do long run, it was 2 hours. To be able to do from that chair to this chair in a square for 2 hours, it's tough, but you have to think of the long picture. And the little things that you do in that is going to make your transition a lot more easier. When do you start running? You have to be, the doctor can tell you to this day, you gotta feel whether this means, I mean, I remember I was in a treadmill with the Achilles, it's just start with walking. So it can be flat, you don't just try to walk on the treadmill, and so you're not favoring it and things like that. And then you just do 800 meter, you know, as a distance runner, to go 800 meter on the track after doing a walking of 2-3 days. Then you go on the track to 800 meter. Then you start doing maybe 2 miles or 3 miles, and then it's more practice. When do you compete or when you go back to racing, you have to look at your conditioning and say, you know what? For me personally, it's like build up a base. Maybe it's 2-3 weeks or 4 weeks of solid training. Now I passed the test of I'm 100% or close to it. Now I can go to the next level. But it's a personal and individual judgment on that.
I ran across the street yesterday. It didn't hurt. I was really excited about that. I get hit by a car. I made it into the red light.
I mean, it's huge. It's like, I tell, there was a guy in Mammoth Lakes who had a hip replacement, older guy, and I said, he said, today is my first, I never met him. I just said, how's your day? He's like, I just did my 2-minute walk on the treadmill. He's celebrating, you know? And it's like, great, that's one step forward. Now you gotta do maybe half a mile or every other day and things like that. So, and then run a little bit on soft surface versus on pavement. And even if you have to walk a little bit, a couple blocks to get there or 3 blocks, whatever, because the soft impact is going to be huge on stress fracture. So you'll be able to do that. And it's little by little that you can make progress. You know, yeah, I mean, eventually, maybe in a year, we'll see you do a marathon or half marathon and things like that. But that's what you've been, what you have done. You don't, and stress fractures usually come back stronger than ever because it's a new bone and more stronger. So just keep your hope high, and sometimes just pass the time, or you know, whether you're working on something, do something that you wish you did when you were running. So, oh, I can't do this because I'm running or doing something. So whether it's, for me, it's reading or spending more time with the family that I usually enjoy, and I didn't get a chance to do that because I'm like, oh, we're gonna have Thanksgiving, and I'm like, well, I gotta get my run in. So it's like usually out before everybody starts getting together, and so when that doesn't happen, when I'm downtime, I try to enjoy as much as I can things that I usually end up not doing.
Meb, we'll do one more, and then we'll wrap this up. And we definitely want to get Kelvin up here, as you guys are all here in his facility, and I mean, it's a tremendous space. So we'll have him tell you guys just briefly about what he's doing over here. The last one for you is, you know, I remember before the Olympics chatting with you, and you said, I got to make the team. This is my last Olympics. And then kind of laughed and said, well, people wouldn't really be surprised if you were still trying to make the team in 2020. Then you were kind of like, well, 99% my last Olympics. But what for you going forward, is there that one thing that you say, this would be one more thing I'd really love to accomplish in my career? Do you allow yourself to think like that? What are your goals going forward?
High achiever or determined that I am. I do wish to win Boston. I do wish that I was reading, writing my speech for the future. I was reading over my book, and I've been 407, 406, 405, 401 for the mile, and he's like, wish I broke in 4 minutes. But I didn't never really focus for it but consistency. You see me as a marathoner now, but I was looking back. I mean, it's back to back, like between anywhere 411, 412, 412 to 405, maybe then like 6, 7 times. And my marathon times has been, 208, 209, 08, 209, 13, 209, 15, 209, 21, 209, 26, 209, 53, 209, 56, 209, 56. On Boston, New York, London, Houston, and potentially Chicago 210, So within a minute, I've done like 8 or 7 with the time to get it. But that's what hard work, determination, and commitment is. Because, so for somebody to say, oh, the marathon's unpredictable. No, not really, it's very predictable. If you know what you're doing and you have accomplished the right work. Because no matter whether it's here, whether it's in London, whether it's in Boston, whether the course uphill, downhill, the margin of error shouldn't be like 5 minute or 3 minute, or it should be pretty concise. It depends on the individual, obviously. For my room for improvement is kind of getting there. So I wish I could go under 209. That's something that I'm dealing with, but if the New York win, nobody asked me, what was your time in New York or getting second at the Olympics. It doesn't say what was the time. Time is irrelevant, and I have had the honor to hold an American record in the 10K, but records are made to be broken, but championships will stay and stay with you. And there's always, you want to do more and see if you can do it, challenge your body, but mine, just like I said, 99% was my last Olympic, and 99% of my career has been fulfilled, but there's a little something that I could make it even more complete. But I've been blessed to have this journey as a career. I've been running for 22 years as a miler. To then I didn't even know how far a marathon was, and now to be a contender, one of the top marathons in the world, and in New York in the marathon is p.m. I believe, and but I didn't know that back then. But you just keep working hard, do the right things, and doing the small things that make the big difference. Because there are something that we could always do as a small improvement, whether it's running, whether it's as a parent, or whether it's as in a job and things like that. If we can do those, we'll be a better human being.